Today we're checking out the Steer Smart's Yeti XD sector shaft brace with frame side track bar reinforcement bracket for the 2007 to 2018 Jeep Wrangler JK. If you want to tighten up the steering on your JK and give the front end some extra reinforcement, this is one of those support mods that can go a long way towards making the Jeep feel more solid, so it's definitely worth considering. The main feature of this setup is to improve the steering stability and durability, and that's a big deal on Wranglers that see larger tires, rough trails, or just a lot of miles in general. The brace supports the sector shaft, while the frame side track bar reinforcement bracket helps strengthen a known stress point. So you're not just adding a part for looks here, it really does add durability. This is really about helping the steering system feel smoother and more stable while giving you more confidence on and off the road. For Wrangler owners who want to address steering slop and add some extra insurance to the front end before problems start showing up, this is a really smart upgrade. It's a bolt-on setup which makes it easier to add real reinforcement without getting into a complicated fabrication project. When it comes to the construction on this, you are getting a durable, half-inch thick steel sector support with a sealed roller bearing. You're also getting a laser-cut 1/4 inch wall steel bracket with an E-coating for corrosion resistance. That combination is exactly why this part is built to handle real steering loads while also standing up better to rust and wear over time. As far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right in the mid $300 price range. That's a solid value when you consider this is more than just a simple brace, because you're getting added steering support, bracket reinforcement, and heavy-duty materials aimed at long-term durability. When it comes to this install on this one, it's gonna get rated just a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can have this job done in just 2 hours of your time. Now, let's see exactly how this install process goes with a quick video from one of our ExtremeTerrain customers.
All right, here's a list of everything that I used during the installation of this product. First off, we have this flat bar. We use this to help pry the track bar out of the stock frame side track mount, and then we also use this to help align the sector shaft bearing, roller bearing plate. We use this rubber mallet also to help get that roller bearing plate back onto the new sector shaft nut. Use that to tap it on there. We have some extensions here that we definitely had to use to get into some places. Definitely gonna want some of those. Breaker bar, gonna need that for sure to break off some of the old nuts, the old bolts and stuff on pretty tight. Then of course you're gonna need a torque wrench. This torque wrench here, use that to make sure everything is torqued to spec. A couple different ratchet wrenches, and definitely need a couple of those. And then we use our ratchet strap to pull the spring back out of the way so we could access the bolts to the steering box bolts. And then this is our list of sockets. We have let's see, this is a 21 millimeter. We use a 21 millimeter to take off the old track bar bolts, and this is going to be the size of the new track bar nut that comes with the kit. And then here we have a 19 millimeter. The 19 millimeter was used for the new steering box bolts that came with the kit. 18 millimeter, we use this for the old steering box bolts to take them out, and also for the bolt side of the new track bar. You'll need this 18 mil for that. And then we had a 13 millimeter. This is for the bolts onto the roller bearing plate for the sector shaft. It's 2 13 millimeter bolts. And then we had a crescent wrench just to help hold stuff. Hold stuff on the backside while we're breaking some nuts loose. Could use pretty much any wrench for that. And then here we have our 1 5/8 socket. The instructions called for a 41 millimeter or a 42 millimeter. 1 5/8 fit pretty tight, so I just went with this because this is what I could get my hands on right away locally. It fit really, really good. So in the instructions, it does say that there can be play with a 42 millimeter. It gives the option, so I wasn't too worried about this being just barely having a little bit of play in it. It did the job. I was able to torque it down to spec. So, and then also a 33 millimeter. This is to take off the old sector shaft nut. And then we use some thread lock on pretty much all our bolts. And then last but not least, just a paint pen, paint stick, paint marker to mark all of our bolts once we had them torqued to spec. So there's a list of everything you'll need to do this install. Thank you. Alrighty, today we're gonna be installing this Steer Smarts bracket onto my 2007 JKU. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to pull our spring over a little bit, because there's 2 of these nuts right here, 4 total, but 2 of them in here that bolt into the steering box. And so we just want to pull this spring over a little bit so it'll be easier to access these 2 bolts. So I just have a ratchet strap, hooked it into my spring here, and then it's running. You can tie it off anywhere where it's solid to the vehicle. So right here, I just have it tied back to my rock guards right here. And I'm just gonna ratchet the strap a little and pull that spring over a little bit. Okay, now that I got that spring pulled back, we wanna start by taking apart the track bar bolt at the frame side here and dropping our track bar down out of the way. So we'll start with 22 millimeter. Yeah, that's it. And you may want to get a pair of pliers back here on the back side just to kind of hold it while you break this loose. There it is. Okay, this might be pretty tight. I'm gonna try and wobble it out of here. As soon as we're coming out fairly easy. Get a flat bar in here or something to pry off of. See if you can get it to slide down. Almost there. Okay, cool. Now, that's out of the way. You can just let that rest there. You can take it apart at the axle side if you want. You don't have to. You can just drop it down. Just make sure it's out of your way. And then I want to start working on this sector shaft nut right here. This is a 33 millimeter. And you're definitely going to need a breaker bar on this one. So we'll get that 33 on there. It? Oh, there we go. Okay, there it is. Ratchet on here. All right, take that one off. And then what you want to do, get your washer, your big washer. Put it right over. Actually, before we do this, let's grab some thread lock. Put that on the sector shaft nut. Put some of that on there. Maybe in a couple places. That's probably why I struggled so hard to get it off. Definitely don't want that thing moving later. So then we'll put our washer on, and then our new sector shaft nut. Okay, so get that thing on as far as we can by hand. All right, now the instructions say this is a 41 or 42 millimeter. Unless without ordering one online, it's almost impossible to find one that big. And in the instructions, it'll actually tell you that a 41 millimeter fits tight. And then it also says in the instructions that a 42 will work even though it's a looser fit. So what I did is I grabbed an 1 5/8 because it does fit pretty snug. And I'm assuming this is exactly between a 41 and a 42 millimeter. This is the closest thing you can get. So this is what I got. Figured if a 42 millimeter can be a little loose, like it said in the instructions, then I don't see why this one is gonna be a problem. So there's a tip if you can't find a 41 or a 42 millimeter like I couldn't. All right, so get this one put on. I'm just gonna ratchet it on there pretty tight. And then, once I got on there pretty tight, I'm gonna go ahead and get our Torx wrench. And this is supposed to be 185 foot-pounds. So, let's see. So I just ratchet that on, torque that thing on. All right. One more time. Let's see. There it is. All right. There it is. All right. Next step is to get these 4 bolts that go into the steering box. It's time to get those bolts out. Those are an 18 millimeter. So see if we can get these 2 out. There we go. Much easier. Awkward spaces like that to use your breaker bar. Okay, we can set these aside because we have new replacements for them. Now what we want to do is take our new track bar nut, this one right here, and let's get the bracket finagled in here. And we're gonna put our bolt this way and just kind of get it held in there temporarily. Just like that. Now on this one, this is kind of tricky. You have to, you can actually see the steering box up here. It can move right now because we took those bolts out. And so what we wanna do is we want to put this in and move the steering box up and down until we get this one threaded. So let's see, I'm gonna come from underneath where I can see it. All right, you want to do at least 5 threads per by hand, just to make sure that you don't have these cross-threaded. And then when I think I got it, I just kind of shake this thing around until I feel the bolts going in. So, well, there's 2 out of 4. Now the top should line up a lot easier, but we'll see. Not going. There we go. Let's see if, wow, that's right in the way of that shock. Let's see if we can pull the shock over a little more. That exact rib on the shock is hitting that bolt. Okay. There we go. Now it's gonna go in. Now, and these new ones are gonna be a 19 millimeter this time. I just got to get this bolt to go in a little bit more because it's just barely, once it goes in a little, I'll be able to get this socket on there all the way. Just got to get it past this spring a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's going. There we go. Now it's going on there. Much better. I think I'm going to get these bottom ones in pretty far since they seem to be the easiest. I'm not too worried about being costed. It would not be going in that easy that far. It would already started to seize up after 5 or 6 rotations. Snug. Okay, so I am just going to snug these for now, because in the instructions it says to torque them and mark your bolts now, but then it does mention that when you're going to put this plate on, that if you're struggling to get it to line up, that you may have to loosen these. So rather than torque them and mark them and then possibly have to come back and loosen them, I just feel like it makes more sense just to snug them for now. And then once we get that lined up, before we torque anything else down there, we'll come back up here and make sure these are to torque. These are going to be 80 foot-pounds, by the way, when we come back. So they're all pretty snug, which tells me that the steering box is pretty tight up against where it's supposed to be. So, all right, so we'll reposition now. We'll come back under and we'll work on getting this plate installed over the sector shaft. So that's next. Okay, so now we're gonna take this plate here and this little angle in the top end right there is gonna face down. So it does say in the instructions that you may need a rubber mallet to tap this piece on, as it is a tight fit. Again, and then let's see if we all right, cool. So got that one started. Let's see if we can do the back one. The back one's gonna be crazy. Probably gonna have to go on the other side just to get in there for that one. All right, I'm gonna go back and torque the steering box bolts down to 80 foot-pounds and get those situated, and then I'll tighten these up. And we'll get the clip on the bottom of that sector shaft. All right, yeah, got those 2 bolts started. Now I'm gonna go ahead and torque the other side over here. So we'll get in position and show what's going on there. Okay, so yeah, now we're gonna torque these to 80. This is a 19 millimeter, 80 foot-pounds on these. That's it. 80 on this one. There it is. Double check that one. Wow, this thing's barely in my way, so I have to opt out for a longer extension here because my torque wrench was actually hitting that. There it is. There it is. That's it. Okay. Now we're gonna move down underneath again so I can show torquing these other two little bolts under here. Okay, so now we take our clip and you just line it up, spread it around, and then you should see it go inside right here. What I'm gonna do, just to make sure, is give this a couple extra taps, just to make sure that that piece does indeed go in there. It looks like it did. You just make sure that it goes, there's a little rib in the bottom of this nut piece, and you just gotta make sure that it kind of get some eyes on it and make sure that it went in there. And it's actually looking like it did. It's looking like it did go on there. So now we can tighten these down now that I got that clip in. And I do want to make sure that I get these torqued. So all right, so that's in. I should have a smaller torque wrench right here. Okay, 13 out right here. Let me get this thing on here. Oh, there we go. I just felt it click. Yep, that's it. Okay, and then as far as this one goes, all right, and there's that one. There we go. Okay, so those are torqued. Now all that's left to do is to put our track bar back up in here. All right, last but not least, we're just gonna raise our track bar up. I've already taken the bolt out from here that we temporarily had in here. Let's take that bolt out. We're gonna raise the track bar up and the bolt goes this way. The reason being, this is a longer bolt, same thing, thicker steel. Put a longer bolt, if you stick it this way, the threads could hit stuff sticking out back here. So you gotta put it from the back of the Jeep toward the front of the Jeep this way, with the nut on the front side facing the bumper. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna raise this track bar up and get this bolt in and then get it torqued down, and we should be ready to go. So let's see. Just gonna wobble this in. Let's see if I can get it in there. All right, I'm actually gonna use a small car jack and a block of wood to press this thing up in there. All right. Get pretty close right there. See if we can get the nut started. May have to put a smaller bolt in there. Kind of just using this as like a spud wrench, essentially. Not even be able to get it to move if we hit it this way. Let's see if maybe we can just tap this in. Oh yeah. There we go, that's where I'm gonna go. Don't want to mess up the threads though. So we're not gonna go too much further with that. gonna start tightening this end. See if I can get this thing. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is a 21 millimeter, and the nut side, the bolt side is a 18 millimeter. So you'll need an 18 on the back side and a 21 millimeter on the front side. All right, now this one, the torque spec is 125 to 130 foot-pounds of torque. So got my torque wrench set up perfectly for that. There it is. And then last and final step, it's recommended to use a paint stick, some sort of paint stick on all your bolts once you've got them torqued. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a line just right here, from here down, like so. Same thing here, from here down. And we're gonna do that on the back nut too. And we're gonna do that on all 4 of these. So this one we're gonna go kind of far, like this, just for the sake of that washer. Since that washer can spin freely of the nut, I'm gonna go ahead and do that for all of these bolts, just like that. And then, last but not least, just like that. There it is.
That wraps up our review and install of the Steer Smarts Yeti XD sector shaft brace with a frame side track bar reinforcement bracket for the 2007 to 18 Jeep Wrangler JKs. And for all things Wrangler, keep it right here at Extreme Terrain.